Hello, friends, and welcome into another installment of Go Tell It on the Mountain. I am here with Reverend Flowers, who we have been chatting a little bit before this started, and I'm like, I have all this energy. You have so excited me about ministry and the work. And I have to say, the level of energy you have post Holy Week, sister, it's as if the resurrection truly showed up at United Church in Walpole. So I'm excited to be with you this Sunday, and thank you so much for making time to go tell it on the mountain so we can get a chance to know you a little bit more, but also about your church. So I'm going to jump right in with my first question, which
Great.
was tell us your call to Walpole. Tell us
Abs-
about how that happened in your journey.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you, I've been at United Church in Walpole, Massachusetts for almost 6 years now. I'm very blessed to be situated in the community with my husband and my two kids. And my call to Walpole really happened. We were in New York City, and felt like moving closer to my roots was something that was important to us as we were having children. So we were looking for churches in Massachusetts, and Walpole popped up, and it felt like this was the right thing for my whole family. And I will say, my whole family is a big part of my ministry, and I cannot thank them enough. I know we were chatting about that a little bit, Reverend Goodwin, but I'm so grateful for my husband and my kids who come alongside me, and our ministry in this community is very, very rooted to the community of Walpole, and we love Walpole, and we hope Walpole loves us, and it's a good fit for us, and we really feel like God is doing a new thing here, and we are excited, really also for the next 6 years in Walpole to see what might happen as we continue to grow in ministry together. So it was a good fit. I will say my call to ministry has always been sort of an entrepreneurial call. I discovered Jesus later in life. I was raised Unitarian Universalist, so I knew church, but I didn't necessarily know God. I felt I had some profound spiritual experiences later in my teen and early young adult years. And so I come to ministry with this like zeal of a convert, I say. So I have a lot of passion for God, having sort of discovered God on my own, and discovered Jesus on my own. I use, I follow Jesus very closely, and I've even been told by some people I talk about Jesus too much, which means I think I talk about Jesus just the right amount. But I've always had a heart for bringing people into community who don't necessarily feel like they belong, because I've been on the outside of Christian community, and I know what that feels like to be like, who are these people? What's going on there? So my call has always been really with a mind and a heart for the people who aren't here yet. And that feeds kind of my entrepreneurial spirit as well. How can we be reaching people in this post-Christendom age? So that's a lot, I know, but that all of those things kind of swirl together and are part of what I feel like God is doing in and through my life.
Oh, thank you. The breath of fresh air. So I'm curious though if you could say a little bit more about the reality of this sense of a neighborhood church, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I think we have the ability to reclaim, like people who are passionate about where they live, their town, their city, their locale. What for you kind of planted that seed to say, like, wow, some of the ministry of this church is really to wrap itself around Walpole? I'm curious about how that came alive for you, why that's a
Yeah.
passion of yours, why is that important to you personally?
Well, I've seen it modeled when I was a student minister. I was a student minister at Kirkwood United Church of Christ in Atlanta, Georgia. It was where I was ordained. I'm one of the many UCC Kirkwood alums. And I saw it modeled so well. And I saw what
Mm,
it meant for a church to have a heart for its hyper local community and the impact that you can have at a hyper local setting, and also the way that, especially in our incredibly divisive times, people can and do come together when you're looking at literally your neighborhood and your
mm,
neighbors, and you're building those relationships in that hyper local setting. So I think that was something that was like in me, and I wanted to sort of bring that spirit. Luckily I landed at a church that had the name of our town in the church's name, which I know is is a lot of people's story, but it's something I've really hit on. Although it's funny, we have more of a regional draw than I was even expecting. But and I've wrestled sometimes, what does it mean that somebody's driving up from Attleboro to come to United Church in Walpole? Well, I guess, they're all in for Walpole too. I mean, what I think what we do is we try to like model what we are doing so that people can take that sensibility back to their own communities, even if this isn't necessarily their community. It's that love for neighbor, love for the community. And then I think it really is a model, no matter where you live, to do that in your own place.
Thank you for that vision. And my second question is, so what's something, which I think you could have a lot of things, but what's something that's exciting you right now about United Church?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we are so excited that you're going to be joining us this Sunday. It's a huge Sunday for us in the life of our history as a congregation, because we are launching a $3.5 million capital campaign, which seems like an insane amount of money for a church our size. But we're believing in ourselves. We're dreaming big. We're working with some phenomenal folks who are helping us out to make this a reality. And we are renovating our church for the future. This was a renovation that, I didn't come to this church and say, I'm going to do this giant building project. That was not what I had in mind. But when I was here for just a couple of years, the roof caved in. And it became real clear that a major building project was probably something that we were going to have to do. And there were some sleepless nights a few years ago, I'll be honest, where it was like, man, is it worth it to put so much money into this old building? Would it be cheaper to sell and go find some storefront somewhere? But what we realized, number one, the people of our community love our building. It's so historic and beautiful, and it means so much to our membership. But also, number two, it is the heart of Walpole. And if we are going to be a church for Walpole, not just in Walpole, but for Walpole, that church of the neighborhood, then we would be fools to give up our footprint in that neighborhood. And so we are going all in to invest in the future of our life right in the heart of Walpole. We're excited to be bringing in a daycare partner. We've got some really exciting potential partners there. We're excited to have spaces that people will want to gather in and have family celebrations in, places, where a local baker wants to start her business in our kitchen. We just want to be a place of life and love and hope and gathering for people within our church and beyond our church. And we're excited to make that happen this year. So we can't wait to see that take shape, and then to see the fruit that will come in years to come from that.
I'm so, in a prophetic way, our annual meeting, 400 years, is reflecting on the foundation that we have. And I think we are inviting ourselves to understand, with this foundation, what's next. And so Patrick Dugan, who's going to be our annual meeting speaker, is talking about everything you just said, and this sense of what is the entrepreneurial work of the church for this day and this hour? How do you take the historicity that's already existed in Walpole, but then build for now and into the future? And so much of that is going to be about how you invest in your local community, how you empower small businesses, how you create this sacred space that people see it not only as a place that you just come to on Sunday morning, but that you might find the church burgeoning with life all week.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think our ancestors did that, right? I think one of the big lessons that we have tried to take to heart is we're not just going to sit in what our ancestors built and do nothing. We are going to embody the spirit that they had when they built it. And in the case of our church is 300 years old. This is not like the original building. They worked on it. They tore down, other buildings. They merged with churches. They split up. They have had a long and storied history of changing their structure and changing their buildings to match the moment. And we are just continuing that legacy is what we're really doing.
Ooh, maybe you should have been the annual meeting speaker. You could lead one of the breakout groups. Patrick, if you're watching this, no, we really still want you to come.
Well, actually, I'm going to be speaking at the Church Building and Loan conference in September. So if folks want to hear more about our project, yes, I will be one of the keynote speakers at the United Church of Christ Building and Loan Fund. And I will say, none of our vision and none of our dream would be possible without the United Church of Christ Building and Loan Fund. They are a phenomenal asset to all of us. And I wish more people knew what they did and how to use everything that they offer to us.
Well, that's a good plug for people to come to annual meeting, because they'll hear Patrick. There'll also be a breakout session for Church Building and Loan Fund, the Cornerstone Fund, and our legacy work here at the conference. My final question to you is, how can people join us on Sunday?
Absolutely. Well, we hope that folks will come on out to Walpole and join us at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning in our physical space, but you're also invited to join us online. We worship through YouTube and Facebook. You can find us by going to unitedchurchandwalpole.org/livestream. Join us there. We would love to have you participate digitally. And also come on out and join us in person if you're able to do that as well. Meet Reverend Goodwin. We're going to be having a big party afterwards to celebrate the launch of our capital campaign, and everyone is invited.
Thank you so much. I look forward to not only being with you and United Church Walpole, but anyone who joins us virtually or in person. I just want to personally say thank you for the work, the energy, and the life you bring to the Southern New England Conference, and I can't wait to be with you this Sunday.
Oh, we're thrilled. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for having me, Reverend Goodwin.
Thanks.